welcome to the very first Parenting in My Pocket podcast and video and everything else of 2021. I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas and New Year. Some people didn't, some people did. I hope if yours wasn't what you'd hoped it was, that 2021 is looking a little bit better for you at least. So we had a nice switch off here in Help Me to Parent. We took a big break, 2.5 weeks, and it was lovely. Nearly 3 weeks. It was lovely to just switch off. It was a busy year last year. A lot went on, but it was really good. 2020 had a ton of challenges, but certainly for us in the business, we worked really hard and kind of improved things. So for ourselves, so it's great to be able to have that. So what have I got to tell you about? Right. So the online courses, the Positive Parenting Skills course, the Parenting in a Pandemic course, and the Parent Self-Care course are all reduced for January. So the Parenting in My Pocket, the Positive Parenting Skills course is now only €99 as opposed to €179. The Parenting in a Pandemic course is now €25 as opposed to €49, and the same for the Parent Self-Care. Get on them. They will be worth your while, trust me. We've had a few people participate in them and take part in them, and they've found them really beneficial, really useful. So go grab those offers now, because they're like that for January, and then they'll be going back. We're going to be adding lots and lots of new courses there as well. So please do keep an eye on that, because not only are we going to have the Help Me to Parent school, we're going to look at also the coaching school, where we're going to look at life coaching techniques that you can do at home. So we'll keep that in the back of our minds anyway, and get those videos done. Book number 2, Parenting in My Pocket podcast, Parenting in My Pocket series, will be coming out in hopefully the first half of this year. Yay! Another book, and then we've got 2 or 3 books in the pipeline for later in the year. We're not sure which one's going to come out first. We have 2 questions today, 2 tough questions I think a lot of people will probably relate to, so we'll get to those in a second. The Patreon page, patreon.com/O'Donoghue podcasts, we have a load of new benefits up there for patrons. So if you would give us the price of a cup of coffee or a cup of tea once a month, go and support the Patreon page, patreon.com/O'Donoghue podcasts, and you can get loads of benefits out of that, and it's well worth it. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't want to bombard you with stuff. We've got lots of courses coming up this year. Pretty much everything's going to be online. We have we will be hopefully opening up our coaching for private clients very soon. It's full right now, but hopefully in the next month or so we'll be able to open that up. So if people are interested in doing some personal coaching, be it parenting coaching or life or business coaching, give us a shout. We'll put you on the waiting list to get you started, hopefully at the start of February. All going well. Hello to everybody who's joining in. We've got lots of little comments there. Great to see you guys. Thank you for joining in. I hope you've all been keeping well. So we're going to crack into the questions. I'm also using my iPad now because we are going paperless at Help Me to Parent. 2021, we are going and getting rid of all the paper, or the books obviously, but we're going to try and stop using paper as much as possible and keep everything digital, so that we're cutting down our not exactly massive carbon footprint, but just trying to do our little bit for the environment. Okay, question 1. My 11-year-old has gone back to in-person school as of last week. Up until then, she had been doing online learning all school year, with the exception of about a week in late October. With the return to in-person learning this last week, our daughter was very anxious. She felt nervous and sick to her stomach prior to the start of school, for the first few days. While things have settled with her nerves, she's still really unhappy with attending in school. Right now, she's in middle school, and due to COVID and restrictions to keep students safe, she's in a classroom of 10 all day and doing essentially online learning in a group setting. At lunchtime, students sit at a table by themselves to reduce risk of exposure, and recess is limited to a similar way. We have the option of opting out of in-person school and doing online learning between now and the end of March. This is something our daughter has expressed interest in doing, as she feels like an in-person learning is very isolating and not much different to learning at home, where she feels more social and comfortable. Our daughter did okay with online learning. She had areas where she struggled, but we were able to deal with it, and I believe she's doing as well as could be expected given the pandemic. Given the state of COVID in the US, I feel like in-person learning is probably limited given the rampant COVID spread happening here right now. Our daughter also really thrives with consistency and routine. I feel like given all the circumstances and her unhappiness, we should consider allowing her to do school online, but my husband and I have differing opinions. He feels she should stay in school for the social and mental health aspects. I feel like given that things are so far off normal, I'm not sure we are actually accomplishing either by keeping her in school. He and I can't seem to see eye to eye in the matter. I'm looking for some advice on what we can do to help our daughter with her anxiety about in-person school, as well as how my husband and I can come to a common ground on how to handle schooling. So that was obviously a longer email than a lot of what we would normally have, but it was great to get that context. And there seems to be two issues here. One, that the daughter is uncomfortable being in school, and two, the issues between parents. And these are very common for parents. So it happens a lot where one parent will want or see one thing as being the best thing, while the other parent wants something else. And probably both can see the pros and cons of both sides some of the time. But in this situation, I think what you need to do is, first of all, take the step back and look at what are the reasons that I would like her to stay at home, right? And write them all down. What are the reasons I want her to stay at home, and to how I think it can best support her. Then look at, well, what are the reasons my husband wants her to be in school? List those reasons and sit down and have a conversation and acknowledge both sides. Say, look, I completely understand what you're saying. And what, like you've said here, given the craziness of the world right now, she doesn't seem to be getting that social aspect right now anyway. And I do think it's important to take on board her feelings, because you have the option of the opt-out of in school. So sit down with your daughter, have a conversation with her, try and get a real read on what is going on for her. Is it just that she wants the comfort of being at home? Are the nerves and the anxiety, are they based on just being at home for so long that she's a little bit nervous about getting back in? Or is she feeling nervous all day in school? Because that's going to be something as well, because we all know those times where we would have dropped our kids off when they were younger to, Montessori or creche or whatever, or preschool, and they'd be crying, no, don't leave me. And then your heart is breaking when you're leaving them, and then you come back to pick them up, and the person who was looking after them was kind of saying, as soon as you went, they were absolutely fine. So it might be worth having a check-in with the teachers to see how your daughter is managing it when she is actually in school. Is she just fine? Is she getting on with it? Is she not that nervous and not that worried about things, and just getting on with the learning? Also, look at how she's getting on in terms of, is her academic achievement kind of dipping? Now, academic achievement is very kind of big. What I mean is, like, is she struggling with the work? And if she's not struggling with the work, is the issue then more about her learning better at home or learning better at school? And taking into account the potential that she could get COVID while she's in school. And if that's the bigger concern for you, well then maybe that's the point that you need to focus on when you're talking about this with your husband. Look, I understand that there's a social aspect, but it's not a normal social aspect of her being in school, but she may get COVID, and there is concerns about that. So what do we do? And you're right. I was going to say it's rampant in the US. COVID is rampant here in Ireland. I think the last numbers, we are the biggest increase in the world. So we can't say anything or point any fingers at anybody. So check in with the teachers. See how she's getting on when she's in school. Look at her nerves and have a conversation with her. Is she worried about catching COVID, or is she just a bit nervous because she has been out of school, in-person school for whatever amount of time, and it's just a bit nervous? Have a conversation with your husband. Really get a sense of why it is that you actually want her to be, or you want to go along with her working at home. Listen and acknowledge what he has to say about his reasons, and then look at, can we find a common ground? And then sit down with your daughter, explain both of your sides, that this is what we've decided. Don't say, Dad wants to do this, I want to do this. We've come up to this agreement, and this is how we're going to do it going forward. And then gauge her reaction, and then evaluate it. And let her know that you will evaluate it, because what you're deciding now is not the be all and end all. You can change your mind. So if things change, if you find that our anxiety levels are going through the roof, and it seems to be more than just a bit of nervousness about being back in school, well, then you can change your mind. You don't have to stick with it, and that's okay. So I think sometimes as parents, what we do is we can worry that if we make the wrong decision, well, if you make a decision that doesn't work out the way you'd hoped, that can be seen as the wrong decision by you, but it's not. You make the best decision at the moment, at the time, with the information that you had. And then new information comes to light, and then you can go, okay, well, we can change our mind now. That's okay. So it's not final. There's no finality to it. We can change our mind. It's absolutely okay. We have the prerogative to change our mind, which then hopefully will give you more of a sense of, okay, we can try this. So you might sit down with your husband and say, right, okay, I hear what you're saying. Let's leave her in school for the next few weeks and see how we get on. But we can reverse the decision if it's not working out. The chances are you'd probably go, yeah, grand, of course we can. No, you might not, and that might have more of a conversation for you guys to have. But I suspect that probably you'll be able to come up with it. Yeah, grand. We'll give it a try for a few weeks, see how we get on, and then we can decide to change it again. And you can decide to change it after that. And people worry about, well, is there inconsistency for my kids? Your kids are going to be okay. Take on board what they have to say. Take on board that you're listening to them, and let them know that you're listening to them. And then just see how things go and change if you need to. Okay? And let me know how you get on with it. I'm on the water today. I have no coffee, which is good because I have to stop drinking coffee so late. It's not good for me. Okay. Question 2, and the final question for today. I lost my dad 10 days ago. He had been ill for 3 years with vascular dementia, but the end came very quickly and unexpectedly. His last couple of days were very traumatic for us all. My children are aged 8 and 5. They came to say goodbye to their granddad in the funeral home. It wasn't planned like that, but with COVID we had no one to mind them. The intention was that they would wait outside with one adult while others went in. Excuse me. When they arrived, they asked to go in. They had made cards to say goodbye, which they put into the coffin. I'm trying to do everything right in strange times while devastated myself. My 5-year-old daughter is asking a lot of questions around specifics such as who put Grandad into the coffin, the undertaker or the nurses, etc. Whereas my 8-year-old son, who is quite sensitive, doesn't say much. Just that he doesn't like when we say died and prefers passed away. On school Zoom class today, the teacher asked had anyone good news and then had anyone sad news. She knew already. Charlie wouldn't say anything, and when I asked him, he said that that's private business and he doesn't want his friends to know. I'm just looking for any tips generally with grief and young children in a pandemic. It's all very overwhelming. So the first thing I will say is condolences to you and your family. Losing a parent at any time is absolutely heart-wrenching and heartbreaking, but especially at the times that we have at the moment, it is so challenging, and it can definitely have an impact on the grieving process for ourselves. So what I'd say to you first off is take care of yourself, right? And I know that can be a bit challenging because you're probably trying to keep it all together and make sure everybody else is okay, but you can only do so much. And if you are busy trying to hold up everyone else and make sure they're okay, you can miss taking care of yourself and acknowledging your own grief and sense of sadness. So it's okay for you to take care of yourself, because what that does is that teaches your kids that it's okay for them to take care of themselves too. Okay, so if you need support, if you need to go and speak to somebody, get in touch with a counsellor. And look, it's very raw. Like, it's only 10 days ago. Like, it's very, very new. So what I'd say to you is, you're doing the best that you can right now. It is so difficult. When it comes to your kids, I'd just be honest with them. So if your daughter has questions like she has, answer them candidly, and be honest. Obviously within reason. Like, I would always suggest that we are truthful with our children to a level that they can understand and comprehend. So, if she's asking, who put Grandad into the coffin, it's okay to say the undertaker did. That's their job. And that might spark more questions. Now, if you're finding that it's upsetting for you, it's okay to say, look, do you mind if we talk about this later? I'm still a bit sad over Grandad as well. So, we can have this conversation. Now, if you don't want to say that to your kids, that's okay. You can answer the questions, but answer them as candidly as you can. When it comes to your son, we all handle grief in different ways. And in my experience, a lot of older children, when they're growing up, will try and take care, in inverted commas, of everybody else and be the good child, probably because when the younger child came along in the first place, they were probably told, no, you need to be good, and not by you as a parent, but everyone else around you. Mommy's got to feed the baby and look after the baby, and you be good. And what happens for older children is they can take on that belief that, okay, I have to be good and make sure everything's okay. And your son may not want to talk about it because maybe he's minding everybody else, or maybe he's just not sure. Maybe he's just trying to get his head around what's going on for him. And we can't, and I know you're not suggesting that you push this through, but for some people, they need to process things for themselves. And I suspect he will come to you if and when he needs it. So right now, it might be a case that he doesn't want to talk about it, and that's absolutely okay. The fact that he doesn't want to talk about it with the rest of the class, again, that's absolutely okay. It's not something he needs to do, because it's clear that maybe he would feel exposed. And the fact that he says it's private business, well then, he's just not ready yet to talk about it. That doesn't mean that he's never going to talk about it. He probably will. He may go and talk to his friends about it, he may talk to his teacher about it, he may talk to you about it. But right now, it's still so raw for everybody that maybe he's just trying to get to grips with what's going on. I would suggest that if in 3, 4, 5 weeks he's still struggling or appears to be struggling, maybe you would get in touch with the school to see if they could get him onto the Rainbows programme here in Ireland. Because, and I'm sure there are similar programmes elsewhere, but Rainbows is a fantastic programme to support children in school to manage the grief that they're dealing with, because you don't have to have all the answers. You are trying to manage your own grief and make sure that the house continues to run, and that you've got other responsibilities as well. It's not all on you, and we can take it on. We want to be able to wrap our kids up in a bubble and make sure they're okay, but they need to go through their process as well. So let's break this down. Take care of yourself. If you need to go and speak to somebody, even if you don't need to speak to somebody, even if you just need to take time out and speak to your partner and say, look, I just need a break. I just need to go for a walk. I need to go for a drive. I need to go for a run. Mind yourself. If you do need to speak to a professional, do it. There are tons of people out there, and if finances are an issue, there are people who do offer lower cost counselling and therapy as well. You can find them. So take care of yourself. It's so much harder to take care of everybody else if you're running on empty. It's all right for you to be sad and for your children to know that you're sad, because that might provide them the permission, in inverted commas, to know it's okay for them to be sad too. Now, I'm not saying that you walk around the house bawling your eyes out, but if you feel upset and you want to cry, feel upset and have a cry. It's important for your process to be able to get it out. Let them know that they can come and talk to you if they need to. Answer their questions as age appropriately as possible, but answer the questions, because you don't want to, say to them, Grandad's just asleep, because what can happen is some kids can go, and you're not, okay, but and this is for everyone else out there as well, some kids can start to get worried and go, well, if I go to sleep, because I go to sleep every night, if I go to sleep, might I die? So, the fact that your son has said he doesn't want to use died, he wants to use passed away, well, use that. Like, he's given the information that this is what he feels comfortable right now with. So use passed away. Answer the questions that they might have. Check in with them. Check with both of them. How are you doing? Everything doing okay? They might both go, yeah, we're fine. They might go, no, I'm a bit sad today. That's okay too. And it's okay for him to take as long as he needs to take to get to grips with what's going on. You're doing the best that you can. And that's all that you can do. You all need to process this as easy, as best as you can, and in your own time. And it'll probably be like that. It'll be up and down and up and down. But be gentle to yourself and be gentle to those around you. You're trying to manage something that is really challenging, especially at this time. And what I'd say to you is, if in, a month, 6 weeks, 2 months, your son is still struggling, or your daughter struggling, go and speak to the school, talk to them about the potential for rainbows, and it's all right if he doesn't want to talk about it with his friends. It's absolutely okay. Let him work at his pace, because that will change. It will change, and he'll change his mind. He'll change his mind. He will probably talk about it at some stage going forward. It might be 10 years down the line. It might be 10 weeks, it might be 10 days, could be 10 minutes, who knows. Please take care of yourself, all right? And you do have our sympathies. It is very raw and it's very new, and I hope that this will give you some sort of support to be able to get that grounding and settle within yourself that you're doing the best that you can, and take care of yourself. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to our first episode of 2021. I hope this year is one that brings you what you would like. And I don't mean a 10 million euro lottery win, but I think if we can all just be if we can all just take care of ourselves and those around us, and acknowledge that we're all doing the best that we can in a situation that none of us have ever experienced before. So we've no idea what this is like. We don't know how this is going to turn out, but we're probably going to be okay in the long run. Well, let's just take care of ourselves and each other, and I hope 2021 is a successful one for you. Until next week, guys, you take care. Cheerio.